HYPOCRITICALers, and welcome back to the second video I'm posting today. God, I love double upload days, and thank you for being here. If you're just here for this one, the last one I posted, we reacted to the first episode and we reviewed the first episode of Frenemies. I'm loving the response to that one, thank you so much. But if you're just here for this one, then I love and appreciate you for that too. I just appreciate you choosing to spend even a little portion of your day with me. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider hitting that button. I know that 55% of my audience, I know I harp on about this, but 55% of y'all who watch within the past 2 months are not subscribed. I know YouTube unsubscribes people. I know people get bored of the content and unsubscribe. For whatever reason, if you're enjoying the new videos, please consider subscribing. And we're gonna get into this one. Now, I am very excited. As you're aware, we are going through all of the Shane Dawson series and looking at them retrospectively, knowing what we know now. And we are finally starting, so we're 2 down. We are starting the Truth About Tanacon. If you missed the previous 2, you can go on my YouTube channel, go to playlists, and it's reviewing Shane Dawson documentaries, and then you have the 4 ones we have so far, 4 episodes, and this one is the Truth About Tanacon. Now, this was one of the most requested ones, and I was very excited to do it because I remember being angry in the moment of watching this one because of how biased Shane Dawson was supporting Tana Mongeau when she had made a huge mistake putting the health and safety of her fans at risk, and Shane kind of just allowed her a pass because he wanted to like father her and baby her and just didn't put any responsibility on her. And of course it wasn't going to be a fair video whenever he's trying to hear all the parties' point of view, but he's best friends with Tana Mongeau, at least at this time. It's not going to be a fair video, and in watching this back, it was even worse than what I thought. So, starting off with the Truth About Tanacon. If you don't know what Tanacon is, I'm going to keep it very brief because I feel like we all do. Tana Mongeau set up a convention on the same date and time and place as VidCon just down the street because she had had an awful experience with VidCon. They had kicked her out. They said they were going to give her a featured creator badge. They never did. And after years and years of being mistreated from VidCon, she then made her own VidCon, which was called Tanacon. It was going to be a free VidCon. There were tickets for like $65, but she said that you could come and it would be free. All your favorite creators were going to be there, including Shane Dawson, and it turned out to be a disaster. There were so many people that didn't get in. Thousands of fans were outside getting sunburned, and it was a disaster. Tana didn't take any accountability, and this series was Shane's way of trying to clear her name, but he was trying to be like, I'm going to go hard on her as well, and he never did. We're just going to get into it. So, it's called The Truth About Tanacon, and it starts with a clip of Tana's fuck VidCon video. So this was her rant announcing that she was going to be doing Tanacon. So, Tana said, I think all the rebelled, unwanted people should host a little meet and greet in Anaheim on the same day and time as VidCon. I'd love to do it. And then it cuts to a clip of Tana a few weeks later gloating about the fact that Shane Dawson is going to be coming to Tanacon. He's not going to VidCon. He's going to be supporting her. All of her fans can go meet him. Now, one of the biggest changes in me watching it this time around than when I watched it back in 2018 was I have now been to VidCon. I now know how much security goes into VidCon. I know how much planning goes into VidCon. I know what those security people are doing, how many of them there are. I had never been to VidCon, or for that matter, any convention before. So whenever I was watching this, I was getting actively more frustrated than even the first time I went, because I was like, okay, VidCon mistreated Tana, but it's a team of hundreds of people that are setting up for this weekend thing, and Tana was this one person trying to set up this with one other person for more people than VidCon, and it just being at VidCon, and I know a lot of people who watch this will have been, and a lot of you won't have, whenever you're there, you realize how much work goes into it. So the fact that Tana organized this even more so makes me even more angry at her and Michael, who were the main guys from Good Times. That's the company that set it up with her. Because I was like, wow, you knew it was not possible for you to do this, but you tried. And I'm not even going to give you credit for trying. Alright, so then it cuts to a clip of Tana, you remember, talking about Shane going, Tana's just so fake. There's a clip of her and she goes like, I just can't believe that Shane Dawson's supporting. It's the most jaw-dropping, tear-jerking, emotional. I cannot contain myself. I'm just so happy. And she's like listing things off like a robot, and she just speaks every single time so insincerely. And whenever Shane was including this clip, it was almost trying to be like, oh, Tana was so, you know, thankful that I was coming. But all it came across as was that Tana is just very, very, very fake and just fake. Like, that's all it comes across as. So then the final sequence of clips is during Tanacon, which is people chanting refunds, 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 and people having a horrifying time, people jumping security lines, people being brought out in ambulances, and Mari, who's Tana Mongeau's friend, on stage going, "Are you guys having fun today?" And then you hear the crowd going, "No!" It was really, really, really bad. The crowd shouting at Tana, the crowd shouting at the other people that were there. So it cuts to Shane now sitting down, dramatically, of course, in his bedroom, talking about how he is going to be interviewing Tana later on in the day. He describes what Tana was supposed to be, you know, or what Tana was hoping Tanacon was supposed to be, my bad, and focuses on the fact that it was going to be a free version of VidCon. So from rewatching the Tanacon clips Shane is including, it just makes Tana look so spiteful and putting her anger above health and safety and putting her ego above health and safety, because it's very clear watching these back that she's just a young adult who has a huge ego being like, "We'll do it better. You know what? They don't want us. I'm famous enough to do it. I'll do it on my own. And we won't even call it VidCon like ambiguous. We're going to call it Tana MongeauCon." It just made her ego look so bad. So then Shane discusses the YouTubers who were siding with Tana, and that a lot of them made their support very vocal for her, which is something that never really happens because she's a very polarizing figure. And he includes the names of people. He calls out the following people. He calls out Philip DeFranco, Colleen Ballinger, Ricky Dillon, Casey Neistat, Bella Thorne. And there were so many others there, but they were the ones that Shane called out. So then Shane says, "Tana is a very polarizing figure. She's a mess, but for some reason, everyone in this instance was Team Tana." So Shane then talks about this being planned, the exact dates, time, and within walking distance of VidCon. Now again, being at VidCon myself, I remember whenever I was going there with my friend, we had rented a car and we were driving to find the convention center. Those roads, there's not a lot around Anaheim Convention Center, which VidCon is at. So the fact that the other convention center that we drove past was where Tanacon was, let me give you context. It was literally 10-minute walk maximum. Like if you're at Tanacon, you can probably hear VidCon. If you're at VidCon, you can hear the screams and cries from Tanacon. My God. So then Shane says that Tana asked him to please come to Tanacon, and Shane says how he was at the first ever VidCon and that he never went back and that he just gets so nervous at these kind of events, but he went to the first VidCon because the Green brothers, who were his friends at the time, I don't know if they still are, but they had asked him to come and support their new thing, which was VidCon. And Shane says that of course I went and supported them, and the same way that Tana asked me to support her first event, I was going to do it like I supported the Green brothers. And I completely understand his logic there. So he says that he did no research and that all he knew was that he was going to have a meet and greet and that his name was on the posters for promoting this event. And he says in theory this was the worst decision he could have made. I think he's made a lot of worse decisions, but if we're going to look at this context, then yeah, it's a pretty bad one. So Shane says, not only was Tanacon a disaster, but it was a safety hazard. It caused riots, it caused thousands of people to get third-degree burns on their body. Like, I'm talking placing your hands on someone and it's white against this color of red. Against that color of red. It caused people to get third-degree burns in their bodies, people were passing out, nobody was getting into the convention center, which was actually just a hotel, and no way 5,000 people would get in, and of course it was cancelled. Now again, we were at the area that Tanacon was in, very small hotel, incredibly small, compared to the Anaheim Convention Center that VidCon's at, there's no comparison. There's no comparison. And a big part of VidCon is the outside area, but there is no outside area in this hotel that Tanacon was at, so it was just a cheap venue to book to put, you know, getting all those $65 ticket prices and making a huge bit of profit and then saying to your fans. Tana's career should have never recovered from Tanacon. So between Shane talking, it's cutting to like frequent clips of Tanacon being awful, and then Shane talks about James Charles, which is yikes, talks about James Charles going on a Twitter rant about Tana and how James got so much hate for what he was saying, but Shane says he was with him when James was tweeting this and that he actually agreed with him. Now, James's tweet reads, "You stans are so delusional," to Tana Mongeau's fans. "I was a part of the original meeting planning for Tanacon where she asked me to run it with her and be a part of it. I said yes, but she ran it without me, and I told her not to do half of the exact things that she did yesterday, and she did not listen as usual." So, then Shane starts saying that Tana is refusing to answer calls and that her team were being useless and no one could get in contact with her at Tanacon. He compares Tanacon to the Titanic, and he cuts to a clip of the Titanic movie and plays the last song they played in the, in the Titanic, and then clips from Tanacon of the fans screaming and shouting, and here. This was something that rubbed me the wrong way when I watched this in 2018 and when I watched it now. I despise the romantification and the glorification of the Titanic. The fact that the Titanic has been romanticized into a movie about lovers, until their last moment. Fuck you! The Titanic was not that, and I don't know why I get so angry at this. Doesn't even have to do with Shane. The Titanic was not a romantic story, and the fact that Hollywood pushed it as one. And so when Shane did this, I got so pissed off. He's including the last song of the Titanic with clips of Tanacon. Tanacon was a disaster. The Titanic was an awful tragedy and a disaster. To compare both of them with that last song just is so fucking disgusting to me. And I don't care if you don't see it as a problem like that, because it's something I'm so passionate about. I remember me and my mother talk about this all the time. The romantification of the Titanic makes me so fucking angry. I will never, ever, ever watch the Titanic movie. I will never watch it. And if you like it, good for you. I will never watch it. How the fuck did the Titanic get romanticized? How? Fuck you, Hollywood. Anyways, sorry about that. So then Shane says that he's been hearing rumors that this was a planned disaster and that he needs to get to the bottom of it, and also that nobody who went got refunds. Because Tana said it was a free event, but everyone there had paid $65. Alright, he knows that the hotel lobby said it can hold 1,018 people. 1,018 people is what the hotel lobby can hold. However, there were allegedly 5,000 tickets sold, and Tana said that 20,000 people showed up. And not only did Tana say that 20,000 people showed up, Tana was on Instagram Live while people were outside getting sunburnt, being like, this is such a success, 20,000 people showed up. Did I say 20,000 people? Not 10,000, double that. 20,000 people showed up for me. I can't believe that I'm this popular, 20,000 people. But there was 5,000 tickets sold. The venue could only hold 1,000, literally 1,018 people. And Tana was lying, saying that there was 20,000 people there. So Shane says that it seems that everyone had paid $65 for a ticket, 1,000 of those people were inside, the capacity, 4,000 were outside, but there was no riots or people who were just showing up and, let us in, which was what Tana was saying, that 20,000 people randomly showed up. No, all the people that were waiting outside had paid for a ticket. So Shane talks about how nobody knows who Good Time is, who is the organizers of this event. And then sad music plays and the camera zooms in on Shane. And he's talking, when sad music plays, we're going to sympathize with him here. Shane starts talking about how there were a lot of people there who were there for Shane, not for Tana. That he saw the footage and it was people walking around with Shane Dawson merch on, with the ugly hoodie on, with the pop socket on. There were videos of people saying that they traveled all around the world to meet Shane. He cuts to those clips as well. And then Shane says that this was not just Tanacon, this was like Shane Con. And this was every con of the YouTubers who promoted it. So those previous names, which were, can I see it again? Philip DeFranco, Colleen Ballinger, Ricky Dillon, Casey Neistat, and Bella Thorne. So it was all their fault as well for endorsing it. So Shane says, I want to figure this shit out because everyone was lied to, and this was worse than VidCon. So then Shane says that if he was Tana, he would have moved out of the country by now. So this is all well and good, right? This video is starting off so strong. So strong. This is actually starting off better than any of Shane's other documentaries. However, I don't mean to skip to the end, Shane doesn't keep this energy with Tana. When Shane's sitting with Tana, oh, Tana, don't cry, don't cry. No, I'm crying, no, I'm crying, Tana. No, I'm crying, no, I'm crying. Ryland, get me my tissues, I'm crying. And lets her away with everything. That's why he was not the right person to do this. He's all talk when it's just him and Andrew. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this, then whenever, Tana, baby. He was not the right person to do this, and this is why he's an awful filmmaker. So Shane is now in his kitchen, skips to later in the day, with his ripped up, ratty ass shirt, and he's talking about Michael Segway, guy. So Michael's the blonde guy who runs Good Times, who was the guy with Tana that organized this convention. And he was known as Michael the Segway guy because he was segwaying on one of those segways, clearly, around the convention center. So Michael texts Shane saying that he's going to lose everything, including his house, over this, so why would he have wanted this event to have failed? So then Shane says, what company is owned by a 20-year-old on a Segway? So then Shane talks about inviting a subscriber over to his house to meet him and his friends and James Charles, who flew out to Tanacon just to meet them. So on the day of Tanacon, Shane invited a fan up and they had like a meet and greet in the hotel room with all of the friends and James Charles. So now, Shane has invited 2 fans from Florida over, and his opening statement when he hugs them, so the 2 fans from Florida are now in Shane Dawson's house. Okay. Weird. Very young girls, by the way, but... And he hugs them and goes, sorry I didn't shower for you. Weird. You could have just sprayed a little bit of deodorant, you know what I mean? Just like... a little bit of aftershave. I wonder if he even owns deodorant. So the fans are freaking out over his house, and it's very clear that Ryland and Morgan are very uncomfortable that he's invited young fans over because they're interacting very weird with them, and I would too. So then Shane asks the 2 girls about their sunburn, and they're showing it on camera. And then the girls talk about meeting a girl who came from Canada and was waiting in the sun 8 hours to get in and didn't even get in. So one of the fans says, this entire time, our main focus was that we felt so bad for you, Shane. And we were and I'm not blaming the fans here, but I'm going to get to it in a point. We felt so bad for you, and we were hoping that you wouldn't think that this was your fault and your problem. Literally babying Shane. And that's why inviting a fan over to your house to do an interview about this was not a smart choice, and why he's bad at making these, because of course the fans are going to say everything that he wants to hear, but that's obviously what he wanted so that he looked the best in this situation. He looked the best, then he could get Tana out of it, and they would leave Michael in the shits. The girls say, we couldn't imagine how Shane was feeling when we were out in the sun. We just don't want you to be upset. And then, of course, Shane begins to fake cry. He's like, oh, I wasn't expected to cry. Like, I wasn't expecting to cry. Give me a fucking break. So the fan says that there were no bag checks, no security, and she thought that there was actually a shooting happening whenever the problems occurred in the building. And it cuts to a clip of Tana on her Instagram live on the day of Tanacon saying that security was really tight, checking all bags, so the girls are saying that she's lying. They say how there was only 1,000 people or less in the venue, and then it cuts to clips on Tana gloating over the fact that there was 20,000 people, 20,000 people. So again, Tana lied. And then the fans say that they were asking the security who was in charge of the event, and even security didn't even know who was in charge of it. The fan goes on to say that she bought tickets, but she didn't even get a confirmation for her tickets, and that her computer said that the website to buy tickets was a scam. Also something to note, Shane talks to her about that for a bit. And then the fan says how excited she was because she was going to meet Shane, and that she had RSVP'd to his meet and greet. And then Shane says, well, Tana had sent me the RSVP list for my meet and greet. Let's see if you're on it. Spoilers, they weren't on it, so the list that Shane had been given was fake, and Shane was lied to by Tana also. So, then it goes on, and the fan says that the best thing that Shane could have done was what he has agreed he's going to do. And it cuts to Shane's tweet, where he said that he was going to organize a meet and greet for all of the people who were going to go to his meet and greet. He was going to meet them, the friend group were going to be there. And the fan was like, you have no idea how much this means to us, like that's the best thing you could do. And Shane was like, yeah, of course, like I just wanted to do it. Spoiler, Shane didn't do that and he lied as well. So Shane asked to see their VIP bag, which Tana has stated was worth more than 3 or 4 times the ticket price, which was $65. And everything inside is basically just like AliExpress, like 10p. And whenever Shane is showing the stuff, he's literally putting the AliExpress versions of it online, which is like 9p or $2 or something like that. Or not even $2, 2 cents. And they got a condom, and Shane says the following to 2 children. Thank God they gave you condoms, because you 2 got fucked. Okay. So then a clip plays of Tana on stage saying, enjoy your weekend at Tanacon, and I promise you won't be getting kicked out of this convention, making a shady comment at VidCon. for kicking her out, and again, just made her look really bad, because that's literally what happened 10 minutes later. And then Shane gets a call from Tana in the moment when he's with the girls, so he goes into the other room with Andrew filming, and it's basically Tana blaming Michael, and already it's being set up that Tana was done bad, and Shane's like, baby, we'll get through it, baby, I love you so much, baby, we'll get... So, of course, you know, so not biased, and I love the Shane Dawson fans, whenever we make Shane videos, like, you're being so biased. What was he? Bitch. And then Tana says, no matter how dirty I've been done by Michael, it's my fault. So again, victim blaming herself. Tana says, I did my best to, like, research. Tana says, after blaming Good Times and Michael for lying about capacity size, which completely shows that she's not telling the truth, because if she had done the best to, like, research, she would have typed in the hotel capacity and would have seen that she was not being told the truth by Michael, so she's lying about doing the research, and I don't know why Shane included that, because it made her look bad, and Shane was including this to make her look good. So Tana asks, should your video be my response? And Shane says the following, baby, people trust me and know I'm not gonna bullshit. And you don't need to make a statement. This video will be it. People trust me. So this just goes to show that from the start, Shane was planning on making Tana look good in this, and that's why it's not good reporting whatsoever. It's actually awful, I would say. He was planning on making Tana look good in this. There's no way him and Tana would be like, I love you so, I love you, Shane, I love you, Tana. Thank you so much, you're like my dad, oh, I love you too. There's no way they'd be saying that if they were gonna do fair reporting. So that was the first episode of the Tanacon series. Let me know your opinion on it. Let me know your opinion on Tanacon. And the other episodes will be coming very soon. Make sure to check out the Frenemies episode that I just did. If you enjoyed this, let me know. And I'm having so much fun doing this. I love you, and I'll see you in my next one. And bye. Mwah.